Good morning. Welcome back to the Gilbertson Aero Factory. Today is Friday, the 15th of November, 2024. It's about 9:30 maybe. This morning for inspiration, I was catching up on Austin Mankey's RV-10 build, and he and his wife are crushing that. So at any rate, getting back to work on the ailerons today. Going to get a lot done today. I've got a lot of time and a lot to do. I mentioned in yesterday's video that I couldn't figure out why we had to mount these nut plates with flush rivets, and there's always a reason. There's just so much going on at certain points in these plans that sometimes it's just hard to take these little drawings and visualize what they look like when they come together. And later on I'll throw up a picture of what I'm describing, but it's actually pretty obvious why we need flush rivets. So yeah, I came back out last night and Clecoed some stuff together just so I could kind of put it together in my head. So enough jibba jabba. Let's build an airplane.
Boy, I wasn't kidding when I said that there is a lot of work to be done today. Despite all of the work that was done yesterday, there's still quite a bit remaining. We've got the leading edge skins out here. Those have, well, you'll see. Basically, the next thing to do is to get the whole thing assembled and match drilled. And match drilled in this case is not just final size drilling slightly undersized holes, but there are portions of the nose ribs. There are two nose ribs, one on each end of those leading edge skins, that are lacking any rivet holes. And there's quite a bit of work to be done to even get them in place so that you can match drill them to the skin. And that's what you're seeing me doing here. I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping the orientation straight and making sure that all the parts are matching their attaching component, meaning the left end of the left aileron is always, those parts are always the same. And I began by marking everything in the beginning, left inboard, left outboard, this way up, whatever. After a while, you got enough pieces going on there. What I just did was from left to right, I labeled the ends A, B, C, and D. A for the left outboard, B for the left inboard, C for the right inboard, D for, well, you get it. Anyway, so everything that gets attached to that end is labeled A, B, C, or D, and it's really easy to keep track of that stuff. The skins overlap each other. So that spar has one rivet row. The trailing edge skin goes underneath, on top of the spar, but underneath the leading edge skin. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a bear to get those clecoed on, but you can kind of tell in this picture right here that the leading edge skin doesn't run the full length. It doesn't match the length of the trailing edge skin, so you can pin the corners of the trailing edge skin to the spar, and then it's pretty easy to get that all clecoed together. I've got two workbenches here. I'm facing the daylight. I'm facing outside. And that's basically, as I'm behind the bench looking outside, that's as if I were in the airplane looking forward. So on the table nearest you is the left aileron. On the furthest table where I'm working, that is the right aileron. And I'm just building them simultaneously because there are a lot of obviously duplicated tasks. And so right now what I'm doing is getting the two assemblies completely clecoed together so we can do all of that match drilling. One thing to note about this, these I come back to this one right here and have to take it apart sort of and put it back together. The reason is I didn't, I was just sort of mocking it up for my own satisfaction, but I didn't put the end ribs in. So the main ribs on the trailing edge skin and the nose ribs, those need to be in there for what we're going to do, but you cannot do those with the skins fully attached. Because, and this is the point I was trying to get at, the flanges on particularly the upper flange on that spar is bent over. It's more than a 90-degree bend, and it's almost like it's keyed. You can't just pop that that main rib for the trailing edge skin. You can't just pop it in. You have to slide it in from the end. Anyways, I did some duplicate work today, and since we do everything twice, that means I did some quadruple work today. But that's fine. It ended up to be a pretty long session, and I thought that I was going to go further than I did. I really just broke for lunch and realized that I had been at it for almost 6 hours and decided I would quit while I was ahead. So first up here, the top of the skins, all of these are number 40. So it's just match drilling. I don't like calling it match drilling. Final size drilling all of these holes to the number 30. And by that, I mean using a reamer. Yeah, so now flipped over, things get interesting here. The bottom row of Clecos along the spar there, those are all silver, so you know that those are number 30 or 3/32 Clecos, but we are upsizing all of those holes. They are all going to be, they're being upsized to a number 30 because of the blind rivets that are going to be used down there. So this is a bit slower of a process than just coming in with a reamer. This is coming in with another number 30 drill bit and carefully making sure that you're drilling nice, straight, clean holes. So it's similar to the Cleco shuffle, except for you see that we're switching silver for bronze-colored Clecos as we go up in size and doing the next row of holes and making a big mess. Now, the bigger and more challenging bit of match drilling, I didn't even talk about it, but I match drilled the two spots that needed holes on the nose ribs. That wasn't a big deal. This is a bigger deal for me probably than most, but I did find this more difficult than I expected it to be. There is you can't really see it, and you probably didn't see me put it in there, but there is a galvanized steel pipe, like a water pipe that runs the full length in the very nose right there of both of those ailerons, and that is a counterweight. And you have to, there are holes in the skin along this lower leading edge for match drilling holes into that steel pipe so that you can basically pin it in place. It's not necessarily a structural thing. It's just to hold it in place, because right now it's only being held in place by the notches in the two end ribs. Ooh, this took me a really long time to do. And so I did it a couple of different ways, experimenting with different drill speeds. The problem is that you're drilling through, it's a number 40 hole, but you're going up to a number 30, again, for blind rivets. And then the number 40 hole is aluminum. Get through that really quickly, and then you go into steel, and then the thing really slows down, and it's on a curve. You're almost drilling into a pretty tight curve, and so the drill bit wants to wander, and it can skate on you even when you're being careful. Once you have that thin, I think it's maybe 40 thousandths aluminum for that nose rib, but once you get through that, if you're not careful drilling, it will want to wander. So I tried a couple of different things, and one thing that you'll see me move the camera here for is I decided on that other one, the right one, screw it. I'm going to do this on the drill press. And so what I did was, with it in place, I went and I partially, and I mean partially, just barely drilled each one of those so that I could mark the location of the holes. And then I took it to the drill press and did it. And That worked pretty well. Went and put it back in, and the holes were satisfactorily lined up. Then I went back to the left aileron, which you'll see me do here in a minute. And that one I'd already had a number of them done, and I decided to change my technique a little bit. My DeWalt handheld drill has 2 speeds. The second speed I think most closely matches the appropriate speed, which is about 2,000 RPM. So the technique that I settled on, which worked after much experimentation, was to begin the hole very slowly until you are clearly tracking into the steel and there's a nice channel there where there's no threat of it wandering. Then go ahead, and I mean very slow, and then go ahead to full speed in that number 2 or about 2,000 RPM, and you'll get through it pretty quickly. The air drill is just too fast, it doesn't work well at low speeds. It doesn't have torque to get a good bite. So it all turned out. This is where we've left off. Those are all drilled. So tomorrow it will be about deburring, edge finishing, all that kind of stuff, and then final assembly of both of these ailerons. Thanks for being here. Give us a subscribe and a like if you want to subscribe and you do like it. See ya.